Hi everyone, I hope you guys are doing good. So as a part of our Python tutorial series, in last few lectures we learned about Python if-else statements, Python for loop, Python while loop, right? Now in this lecture we will learn about Python functions. Okay, so without wasting time, let's start. So this is one file I have prepared in which I have one function called increment employee salary, and I just want to show you the syntax of no Python functions, how we define Python functions. Okay, so there are mostly two ways. One is either you define this using def keyword, we define the function name, and then in bracket we give the parameters, right? So we have three parameters and then we are giving the colon. So from here the function body starts, right? So this is the way to define a function. So this is one way, right, in which you are not giving the data type of the parameters, right? So whatever data you will pass, automatically the data type will be declared for that data parameter, right? So whatever, if you pass integer, then this parameter will become integer type of parameter. If you pass a string or character, it will become a string type. Okay. So this is one way to define function without giving the data type. There is another way to define the function in which you are giving the parameter name, then you are giving colon, and then you are giving the data type of that parameter, right? So in this case, I'm giving integer. That means my this first parameter employee ID is a integer data type, is a integer type of parameter, right? Similarly, I have sal as second parameter and then year as third parameter, and I'm giving the data type. Also using this dash and greater than symbol, so using this arrow symbol, you can give what data type this function is going to return. That is the data type of return. Right, so in this case, I'm giving integer. So this function is taking three integer type of parameter and going to return the integer output. Okay, so this is the body of the function and I am returning salary, right? So function is very simple. So this is increment employee salary function. It has three parameter employee ID, salary and years. And I'm giving a logic. If year greater than 5, then increment the salary by 2 lakh. If year greater than 3 years, then increment the salary by 1 lakh. If salary else increment the salary by 50,000, right? Now at the end I'm printing the this new salary of employee ID, and the employee ID variable which I'm passing is converting it into a string, right? And then concatenating using the plus sign with this string, right? And then again concatenating is, and then the incremented salary, that is the final value of salary, right? And printing it, right? So there is a print statement. After that, I'm also returning the salary using return keyword, right? So whenever you define a function always returns a value, right? If you don't return anything, so the output of the function by default will be none. Okay, so there is a none keyword defined in Python. If you do not return anything, it will return none by default. And using this return keyword, you can return whatever output you want to return from this function, right? So these are the two ways. The first way is you are not giving data type. Second way, you are defining the data type of input as well as the output, right? So let's execute this function quickly and let's see the result. So this is my idle shell. So I'm just pasting it directly here in my idle shell. Okay. So I think there is a indentation error. Return should come here. So let me just okay. So I think that was a copy paste error. So when I'm pasting it here, right? So return is coming here. So let me take it here, right? And now it's good, right? So let me do enter, enter, right? So our function got defined, increment employee salary, right? And we can call this function. To call this function, you just have to pass the three input parameters, right? And just write the function name and pass the three input parameter. This is the way you can call any function. Okay, so I'm passing 10 as employee ID, 50,000 at salary, and years as 5,000. Let me hit enter. Okay, so it is printing new salary of employee ID. This employee ID 10 is, and then a string in salary. So salary is 1,50,000. I passed 50,000. Since experience I'm passing as 5, so this block gets executed, right? So it is incrementing the salary by 1 lakh. So our final salary is 1,50,000, right? So this line is coming from the print statement. Also, I'm returning salary. So this is the output of this return salary keyword from the function. Okay, so 1,50,000. So this is the way you can, define the function and then call the function and print output and return output. Okay, so let me define this other syntax as well, syntax in which we are defining the input and output parameter data type. So let me just paste it here, then hit enter, enter. Okay, so our function got defined. Again we will call this function. Okay, so let me just call this function, enter, right? So output is same, right? So you can see this is just about the syntax. So you can give the data type if you want of input and output parameter in function. Okay, so this is the basic syntax for the functions definitions. Okay, now I have created one file called python1.py. So this is my Python script. Okay, so in this Python script file, I have written one function that is same increment employee salary function. Okay, and I am returning salary right from this function. Then I am defining a new wrapper function, okay, which has three parameter, and I am passing those three parameter to the increment employee salary function and getting the result in this rest variable and then returning this rest variable, okay, result variable, right? So this is one way to define the function in a script, and then this is the way in which you can call the one function into another function, right? So this is the nesting of function, right? Modularity of the function, right? So you can call one function into another function this way, right? And store the result in some variable, and then either you can return or print, right? After that, I have written if name equals to main, then I am printing this wrapper function. Actually, I'm calling this wrapper function by giving the actual input here. So I'm calling this wrapper function here, right? And wrapper function will call internally in increment employee salary function, right? So I'm calling wrapper function here and I'm printing the result here. Whatever result is getting returned by this wrapper function, right? In else part, I'm writing print no run for Python 1. Okay, so just giving a message no run for Python 1, right? So this way you can create your Python script using functions and writing functions in those scripts, right? So I can just directly execute this Python script, right? So it should give me result, right? So, okay, and so let's open this Python script. So I can go in file and then click on open, right? I can go in my folder. So this is my Python 1 folder, and here I have stored Python 1. So I'll click on this and open, right? So you can see my in a new window, right? In a new window, my Python 1 file has opened, right? So it is also showing the path of this Python 1, right? So to execute that, you have to click on run and then run module, right? This way I can execute this Python script, right? So what will happen when I'll run this, right? So I'm calling, I have two function, increment salary and then wrapper function. Wrapper function is calling this increment employee salary function, and here I am calling this wrapper function in this main block, right? So the output should come from here, right? Output should come from here, the wrapper from the wrapper function, right? So let me just run this run module. So you can see it has called my python1.py in shell and it has printed 1,50,000, right? And that is the output of my Python 1 script, right? So this way you can, define multiple function, you can nest function and you can write a Python script and execute this. Now I'll explain you why I have written this block, right? If name equals to main. Okay. So Python, whenever you create a Python script, right? So by default Python declares a variable called underscore underscore with double underscore name variable, right? Starting with double score, ending with double score underscore. Okay. So this name variable will always store this main no value. Okay, if you are executing this Python 1 script, right? So whatever I want to do with these functions, right? So I'll write all the calls, I'll write it here. Okay. So why I am doing that? Because if someone import my Python 1 file and this is my file, right? And if someone else want to reuse my function which is in this Python 1 file, right? So suppose someone wants to use my wrapper function, right? So I don't want that this the execution, this execution should also run for him, right? Because this is local to me, local to my script Python 1, right? So I don't want that this should be executed whenever someone imports my Python 1 file. Okay, so this is the way to make the execution local, right? So this whatever I am writing in this if block, right? So this is local to this file, Python 1 file. If someone executes Python 1 file, then this will get executed, right? But if I have one another file called Python 2 and I am importing Python 1, right? And then I'm in Python 2 file I'm defining a for test function, okay, and just giving a print message, that's it in that test function, right? And then again I'm defining if this variable name equals to main, then call this test function, right? Else print no run for Python 2 script, right? So these things, these things are done to make the execution locally, right? So whatever functions in which the Python 1 whatever functions Python 1 has, if someone imports Python in Python 2, if someone imports Python 1, right, they can reuse the functions from Python 1, but they don't want that this execution to run. Okay, they want to do the execution of wrapper function as they want in their Python 2 script, right? So if you call Python 1 from this command line, Python 1, then only this thing will be executed. If I have Python 2 file, right? So let me just execute Python 2 file, right? So in Python 2, I'm importing Python 1. So only this test function will be called, right? And whatever this call, this will not happen. Okay, let's check this. So I have Python 1 already open. Let me open Python 2 file. So I'll go in document and let's me open Python folder Python 2 open. Okay. So I'm running now Python 2. Although I have imported Python 1, but now I'm running Python 2. So what will happen, right? So I have defined. So I think this execution will happen. Test function, right? Because when I'm running Python 2, so name variable which is holding the main value, this is applicable to Python 2 file, okay, and not Python 1 file. So let me run module, right? So when I run Python 2 script, so I'm getting no run for Python 1 and I'm getting this is a test function, right? So since I had imported this Python 1 file in Python 2, right? In Python 2 I had imported Python 1, right? So in Python 1 it executed this Python 1 script, but since underscore underscore name equals to main, this is not true for when I'm executing Python 2, so it is going in else block and it is printing no run for Python 1 from Python 1 file, right? And then it goes, it starts execution of Python 2 file, right? So there is a function and then it came here, right? And if this name equals to main, this is true in Python 2 file, right? So then it executed test function which has printed this is a test function, right? That's why we are getting in output, we are getting no run for Python 1 and this is a test function, right? So I hope you guys are understanding. So this name main, whatever you write here in this if block is local to this Python 1 only. Okay, and whatever you are writing in this for the in this Python 2 file under this main if block, that is local to Python 2 file, right? Again I can create Python 3 file, right, and import Python 2, right? I can import Python 2, right? So by default Python 1 will also be imported, right? Because Python 1 is imported in Python 2, and if I import Python 2 in Python 3, so Python 1 will be imported, right? But Python 3 will have its own main block, right? So it will have this name variable will be equals to main, that will be no local to Python 3. Okay, so Python 3 will have, right? So this when I'll import Python 2 in Python 3, right? So this will not be true, right? So basically Python has no main function like in Java from where the execution starts. So it always has execution starts from the line number one, right? But to execute something which is local to only that script, this feature is given, right? Where underscore name, this variable gets defined by Python, which stores main only for the file which is getting called from the command line, right? So if from the command line, if I am executing Python 1, so that main block will be executed, right? If I am calling Python 2, right? So whatever main block in Python 2, that will be executed and Python 1 main block will not be executed, right? So I hope you guys understood the difference between the use of this name variable, right? This is very important, right? So whatever you want to write, which is local to your which is local to your file, you can write in this name block, right? So, in this lecture, guys, we learned the syntax of functions. We learned how to create Python scripts, how to define functions in Python script, how to call one function into another function, how to define this name block, which will run the local code for this script, how to import this one Python script in one Python file into another Python file using this import keyword, right? And then we can run this define its own if name block, right? And write the execution which is local to this Python 3 Python 2 file, right? So I hope you guys like this lecture. If you guys like this lecture, please subscribe my channel.